Hi guys, Squirrel here, and welcome to London City Airport. London City Airport, right in the heart of London. What a beautiful sight. I mean, that's the first thing to say, is this looks absolutely magnificent. This is my first X-Plane video. I've spent the last 2 days configuring X-Plane from the ground up, and this is where I've got to. I'm kind of happy with it, to be honest. Today I'm going to fly in a Cessna C172, and we're going to fly a completely fictional flight route. In other words, the Cessna 172 taking off out of London City Airport right here. We're going to head westerly, which is the direction we're looking at, and we're going to land at Heathrow, which is, yeah, it's pretty unthinkable. Not only that, we're going to actually fly along the Thames, and we're going to have a look at some of the sights of London. I don't know all the sights of London, I know some of them, and I'm going to point some of them out. Just to the left of us, you can see the Thames flood barrier, just over here. And then down there, you might recognise some buildings. Right there is the O2 Arena. This is the London XL. This is where they host EGX, amongst other things. But just have a look at the scenery. I mean, just, in all honesty, look at the reflections here. It's absolutely beautiful. We get the ambient noises as well. I've got quite a few plugins. I have to say, though, a lot of them are free. This particular airport was free, bizarrely enough. The one we're going to, Heathrow, is not free. It's the Airsoft one, and it's probably one of the best airports that's been done for X-Plane. It is fantastic. When we get there, though, you'll notice it's not populated with any aircraft, because I haven't installed those yet. But London City's got some static ones, which looks kind of nice. One of the things that kind of blows my mind about X-Plane is just how much you can zoom out. And when I say you can zoom out, I mean you can zoom out in terms of, okay, so where are we? We're at London City. Oh, that's nice. Where's that? Well, let's have a look. Let's zoom right out. We'll see where it is. That is the Thames. That is London. That is England. And that's the world. I mean, that's a zoom out, that is. And what's more, this orientation of the light is configured so that it works correctly for the time of year. The actual tilt of the Earth is correct. It's pretty impressive. There's not many games you can do that in. That block you see there is because the weather system has been loaded on that sector. That's why you see the clouds there and nowhere else. That toxic gas, I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, those, you see there? There's the O2 Arena. That's London City. We're going to fly past that in a minute, but wowzers. I've never been able to do that in a game before, or a simulation, or anything else for that matter. That's insane. This is our Cessna here, the Airfoillabs C172. I could change the livery. I've got a few liveries installed, but we'll just leave it on that one for now. It's a pretty nice aircraft, this one. It's a pay-wear aircraft, but it's very nice. The default Cessna that comes with X-Plane is not bad, but this one is another level up. Today we're going to take off in an easterly direction. The windsock is, we've got an easterly wind coming in, and we're going to take off in an easterly direction. What we're going to do is we're going to bank right and then follow the Thames west. When we get down to Heathrow, I'll kind of fly past it, and then we'll turn around and come down and land on either 09 left or 09 right. I haven't made my mind up yet. Alright, so we're cold and dark. Let's get this thing started, shall we? What we need to do is we need to come down to here. We need to put the battery master switches on. We need to turn on the avionics. And we'll bring up a little bit of brightness here, so that we can actually see the instrumentation properly. And then we'll turn on the radio systems. We're not going to use these things today, but I'll turn them on anyway, just so that you can see what they look like. We need to turn it on here and here. That one rotates around to the on position. Thank you. And then that one slides on like that. There we go. That'll start initializing. While that's doing that, we shall start to get the engine running. The reason we need to get the engine running is because we need to get the air intake running, because I've noticed about this aircraft, what happens is when you're sat with the cockpit lid down, this thing actually starts to mist up. And if you don't figure out where the ventilation is, pretty soon you won't be able to see anything out the window. It's quite cool. But at first you're like, what on earth is going on? So what we need to do is we need to turn the fuel pumps on. We'll turn the beacon on because we know we're about to start the engine. We're going to bring the mixture right in. We're going to bring on a little bit of throttle. Don't worry about that. It's just the system initializing. That's where we'll come back in a second to put the air intake and the heating on because we'll need it. It is evening, in case you haven't noticed. I'm going for a kind of a sunset look. So we can see all the lighting and stuff, which is pretty cool on X-Plane, I have to say. But we will need to get this engine running, otherwise pretty soon we won't be able to see any of it. Usually this thing doesn't start first time, but we'll see what happens. It depends on a lot of things, outside temperature being one of them. Okay, maybe it wants a bit of a lean mixture, or maybe it just needs a bit more throttle. Almost. Let's go for a mid mixture. Don't want it too rich to start with. And there we go. Lovely. Engine is up and running. Okay, so this is the air intake. It's going to bring some of that in now. And we'll also bring on the heater. It's not cold outside. It's like, I think it's about 17, 18 degrees or something. But we'll put it on anyway, just to get some heat into here. Okay. Beautiful. Engine's up and running. Instrumentation's all lit up. Let's have a look outside. Do a control check here. As you can see. All nicely running. I have to say the actual detail on the Cessna 172 is pretty good. It's pretty high. You can see the texturing is really nice on it. It even shows you some people inside. You can actually have these turned on as well when you're inside. I've just got them turned off for now. Let's put the lights on and you'll see what that looks like. So down here, if we put on the nav lights and the taxi light, because we're about to move anyway, and you'll see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm still struggling slightly with the cameras, so forgive me for that one. But you can see the lighting, what it looks like. If we go to that view, and of course when we put the strobes on you'll see them flash, but the beacon's already going. Navigation lights are on. Alright, in terms of taxi, we're going to follow this route here. We're going to line up on that runway and we're going to get going. And we'll release the parking brake. Now notice the camera movements and the bobbing and stuff. And I am going to start comparing this a little bit to my experiences in P3D and FSX. You can get camera shake stuff going on in P3D and FSX. But what's really interesting about X-Plane runways and taxiways is they're not flat. You know, like real life runways, they are not flat, and as you ride along them, you move, and you can even see when we got on the runway, you'll see, especially at Heathrow, the undulating runway. You just don't get that on P3D and FSX. All the runways are completely flat, so that's really cool. Right, let's turn off here. Now I am running the whole thing in very, very ultra settings. So I'm getting about 30 FPS. I could get this thing up to 40, 50, 60 even, no problem at all, if I just dial back some of the objects. But I've got the scenery and the reflections maxed out, the anti-aliasing maxed out, like everything's on max. Look at the reflections over the road there, look at that. The runway textures are ultra. The scenery in the UK is high definition. It's about as good as you can make it right now. I've even got Sky Max clouds going, so really nice cloud systems. Okay, let's put the landing lights on, and the strobe can come on. We'll put the pitot heat on as well, and we'll have a quick look from the outside now. There you go. That's what it looks like. You can see the detailing on the floor. The texturing's amazing. The sun is probably about an hour away from setting, which is a perfect time of day to go flying. Like I say, this is not a real-world flight by any stretch of the imagination. Look at the reflections, it's just incredible. Anyway, let's take off, shall we? Okay, flaps. I'm going to go to position 1. I'm going to release the parking brake. I'm going to gently feed the power in. When we get to about 60 knots, we're going to pull back on the stick, and we should get airborne. Okay, pushing in the power now. To maximum power. You can see how much you have to fight it down the runway. Okay, 60 knots, and let's rotate. Now the landing gear does not retract on this aircraft. Just keep our climb steady while we pick up some speed. And then we're going to bank right. I'm not going to raise the flaps until we've finished our bank. I want to get up to about 800-900 feet. Something around that mark. We need to be at least that height because there is a cable car system that runs right next to the O2 Arena. And one of the reasons why there's like a 5-degree drop into London City. Most runways you come in at 3 degrees, roughly, on a glide slope. London City has like a 5 or a 5.5 degree. It's pretty steep. And the aircraft that are allowed to land in it have to be able to do that. And it's quite simply because of all the skyscrapers you can see over there and things like the cable car system. Right, I'm going to start leveling out. Let's bring the flaps up now. Right, below us is the Thames flood barrier. I'm going to back off on the throttle. Like I say, I'm not an expert on London architecture. I can't tell you every building that we're going to see, but I do recognise a lot of them. I've lived around London now for quite a number of years. But that was London City. And there, you can see the cable car right in front of us now. You see it? See the little cables going across? That was put in about 2011, just before the London Olympics. And people use it quite a bit. London O2 Arena as well, here on our left, is... You can actually walk across the roof now. They do these things where you can put these suits on and walk across the roof. It's quite cool. Never done it myself, but it looks fun. So this here is one of the financial districts. A lot of banks are here, Citibank and all that kind of thing. This is Docklands. Of course, the road systems that you see below are not entirely accurate, but, well, they're not accurate. Neither are the buildings. It's a lot more built up than this, but it's pretty good. There's a tool for X-Plane called OSN, and people can use it. In fact, you can use it yourself to scan in a real-world ordnance map and extrapolate 3D buildings out of it, which is insane and cool. And that's what people have done. That's what you're seeing. You've seen a lot of buildings. The actual key structures that you're seeing is a freeware thing that you can get that adds a lot of the well-known buildings to X-Plane. Now, I have kept a lot of links to my add-ons, but at the moment I haven't had a chance to put them into my add-on spreadsheet, which I will do. I'll have an X-Plane tab. I'll list them all in there. There's quite a lot of them. But like I say, a lot of the stuff was actually free, so GGX plane and GGX plane community, because that is just incredible. The textures in the UK are HD. However, when I go over to some other places like Scandinavia, Norway, Spain, Alaska, they're Ultra HD, and they are seriously, seriously good. Okay. Right then, I can see the shard up ahead. Let's back off on the throttle a little bit. See if we've got anything on our right here. Now over on your right is the City District. Centre of that is Liverpool, London Liverpool Street Station. Down here you've got the... what is that now? I'm not sure what that building is on our right. Just down here you've got... what do they call it? Can't think of the name. You've got the ship, the HMS... is it the HMS Belfast? I can't remember now. Down there you've got where the Crown Jewels are allegedly stored. On the right there is the Gherkin. On the left is the Shard. Straight up ahead we've got St Paul's Cathedral. I can't remember the name of all these different bridges. Each one, you know, I know names of bridges. I don't know which one is which though. But yeah, that's St Paul's on the right. We do get the odd ferry now and again. That's an add-on. Of course, the Thames is a lot more busy than this. It has a lot of static boats down the side. It also has a lot of boats going up and down it all the time. Whether it be just pleasure boats or even the odd cargo boat, and even a little police boat now and again, I've noticed. Now then, just over here on our left, right there, is the London Eye. We just level out, and the Thames, Houses of Parliament, Big Ben. So there's Big Ben. There's the London Eye. Coming up ahead, I think this is the... is it the MI5 building? I think. The most bizarre designed building. Not sure what those structures are next to it, those little towers. Don't really know what they are. Just down here you've got Battersea Power Station. Famous, well, it's a famous landmark. It's actually a listed building. Has 4 chimney stacks. No longer a power station, of course. Actually being converted right now into shopping centre, homes, you know, apartments, all that kind of thing. Completely... it was left abandoned for many years and now it's getting completely renovated. That's the kind of major stuff down the Thames. Let's climb up a little bit. We're a little bit too low. It's a beautiful view. Not sure what this is ahead of us. Obviously some cooling towers. The actual steam coming out of it is not quite lined up, but we'll forgive it. I don't actually know what the building is itself though. Let's have a quick orbital view. This is an add-on called X-Camera that lets you do this. I really have only scratched the surface of what is possible with X-Plane and its add-ons. Like I say, I've just come off the back of 2 whole days of playing around and configuring. But I'm quite pleased with where I've got it, to be honest. Just being able to fly around London and see such incredible lighting, such busy roads. I mean, actual, look at that on the left, the train down there, trucks, cars, you know, the reflections, the lighting, it's just... and the actual scenery, like scenery I can properly recognise and do some real VFR flying. It's an absolute joy. Right, let's put the power in a little bit now. and gain a bit of altitude. Gonna get up to around probably 1500, I would suggest. Now what we want to do is we're going to follow the Thames here, but can you see that major road there with the lights? We're going to follow that. That more or less leads us to Heathrow. This time of day Heathrow's not hard to find because out of London City you pretty much head west and that's where the sun is. So it's not, you know, we can't miss it. In fact, when we get near it you'll see what I mean. You really can't miss it. There it is already, you can see it in the distance. You see that? That's Heathrow. The kind of blue-green lighting. That's where we're going. Let's keep climbing and we can get a better view of this. Got to constantly use my trim. X-Plane's flight model is pretty good. The flight dynamics are pretty good. If I was to move the rudder pedal, for example, you know, it reacts very, very quickly. If I move the stick, it reacts, you know, very quickly. It actually feels like you're flying an aircraft. It's pretty cool. I've also been playing with DCS, and DCS is another one that has a terrific flight model. So much so when you fly things like the Spitfire, or I was flying a P-51 Mustang. Oh my life, trying to land a Mustang. Because of the wheels, you know, like there's... A Cessna has a front wheel, a Mustang does not. And you've got to be very careful when you touch down not to nosedive and plant the propeller into the runway. That's bad. But it is really, really difficult. This thing's a little bit more forgiving to land. I kind of done it a few times now, got the hang of it. Generally speaking, you want to land it somewhere between 50 and 60 knots on a gentle descent. If you do that, you'll not have a problem. Come in a bit harder or a bit quicker and it will bounce. It will absolutely bounce. Let's have a look around here. Let's have a look where we came from. See, look at the draw distance on that. Just incredible draw distance. Look at that. Wind turbines down here. The snaking roads I talked about. Now, we're going to go that way. We're going to go and bank around and come back. We're either going to go land on 09 left or 09 right. This is 27 as you look at it this way, and 09 as it comes back the other way. But that's the plan. Keep an eye on the reflections on the water as well. And the clouds as well. The clouds, I've put it on a quite a calm day really, so we have got a 6 to 9 gusting wind, but it's not going to be somewhat, only a tiny bit of it is cross component, so we might get a little bit of a drift, but it shouldn't really be that hard to land. Now let's start to bank right and head towards Heathrow itself, because I want you to get a look at the scenery. Bear in mind, I don't have any AI aircraft installed just yet. Again, there's an add-on that I've got that it will plant AI aircraft onto the runway and even allow you to configure it so that the aircraft will take off at scheduled times. Pretty crazy stuff, but a bit beyond where I'm currently at in terms of configuring X-Plane. So for now, we're going to be flying over a Heathrow that is completely empty. It's almost like they've given us free run to do what we like for this recording, but in reality, I just haven't installed the aircraft yet. But let's start to back off the throttle a touch. And already you can see the lighting of this thing, but the detail at Heathrow is unbelievably good. Like I say, it is possibly one of, if not the best airport sceneries for X-Plane currently. In the FSX P3D land, we have the massive benefit of being able to get lots of aircraft, lots of scenery, lots of airports, and X-Plane, it's not quite like that yet. I really do hope that it changes, because this simulation platform I think deserves to be much bigger than it is. It really is an incredible piece of technology. And I'm going to go external camera now so that we can see a little bit more about what's going on. You can actually see how far the scenery for this thing comes. It comes all the way back here. Both runways are modelled, lots and lots of detail inside. And then along the edge here, you've even got like the hotels and stuff. I stayed in a hotel along here when I flew out to San Francisco. And let me tell you, this is bang on. You know, even the road system around it is bang on. That's the M25 there. This is the west side of London. Even when we get over here, you'll see that the M25 link road is actually modelled with the roundabout. It's incredibly well modelled, and you can see all the gates down here. We'll just trim back, make sure we're not losing too much altitude. But in the daytime, this looks completely different again. As it does at night, you can see it's all nicely lit up. But yeah, once this is populated with aircraft and there's aircraft taking off, this is fine. If you're flying on like VATSIM or IVAO or something like that, this is fine. This is how you want it, because then the aircraft that spawns in is the aircraft that you want to see. It's other people. But if you're just flying solo like this and you're not on a network, then, you know, you want it to feel a little bit more lived in. Look at the road system below us. You can see the roads there, and again over there you've got another roundabout. This is the M25. I'm going to... What altitude are we? Okay, so we're fairly low at the moment. I need to probably be about 1,000 really, at least. I'm going to fly over this little lake here, and we'll do a U-turn and land on 09 left. So let's get some altitude. Just passing over the M25 right now. The sun is just starting to set. And I think you'll agree that view is, well, it's pretty much all you want from a flight simulator, isn't it? It doesn't get that much better than this. Fantastic for VFR. Really, really good. Okay, let's start our right turn over this lake. See if we can get up to about 1,000. We probably need to be a bit higher, to be honest, on the glide path. It's probably 1,500 at least. But it doesn't matter. We can accommodate. Okay. Start to bank. If you keep your eye on the turn coordinator, which is the dial just below the speedometer there, you can see that black dot. When you're banking, you need to keep that dot in the middle using your rudder pedal. You see, if I use my rudder pedal, you see the dot. When you're banking, you get like a slip effect, and you need to compensate for it with the rudder to make sure that the whole body of the aircraft is turning around at the same rate, and you use the rudder to do that. Okay, let's go for flaps 1 now, and we'll back off on the throttle a little bit, trim down, and that is 09 left. Let's take flaps 2. You see the nose pitch up as I bring in the flaps. Everything is very, very reactive on this thing. The way X-Plane models things is quite cool. It uses a thing called blade element theory. And what it does is it calculates the air passing over lots of parts of the wing and the aircraft itself. In fact, you can model helicopters with it. It's that good. And then what it does is it kind of adds everything up and then makes the aircraft behave based on the sum of all of the different elements of the craft. That is completely different to how something like FSX works. And what you get is a pretty accurate representation of how an aircraft flies. Okay, now, just need to back off the throttle a touch and control our descent. You can see that roundabout there, the AI is doing some pretty crazy stuff. Some of the vehicles are actually going around the wrong way. X-Plane is not perfect, it's pretty good, but when you start to look at some of the things like that, it's, like I say, it's not perfect at all. Now I think our vertical speed is a little bit too high, so Just going to trim it back a touch. We've got an absolutely huge runway. This is a GA aircraft, and this is an international runway, so, you know, we don't have a problem running out of runway at all. Let's give it a bit more throttle. Just want to arrest the speed, don't want to hit a stall. That's a nice gentle descent. Right into the middle. Let it come down. And back off on the throttle. Hit the brakes. And we shall turn off here. Welcome to Heathrow. Now, doesn't the runway look absolutely huge? It's no surprise because we're in a tiny little Cessna. But if we go to an external camera view, so that you can see a little bit more of what's going on here. So retract the flaps now. Nice little aircraft, this one. It's well modelled. There's actually tons of features that I've not shown you. You can actually take parts of the front cover off and look at the engine and stuff. The worst thing about this aircraft is the documentation. There's more stuff coming later, but right now the documentation is, you know, it's like 2 out of 10. It's non-existent. You can figure most of it out yourself, but the documentation is pants. Everything else is amazing. Let's go and park on the right over here. There's actually a bunch of features that are coming out for it at the end of April as well. So I kind of secretly hope that they will update the documentation at the same time. Let's turn our landing lights off now. Strobe light needs to come off. Again, you know, we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be at these gates. This is not real. This was purely just to show you what's going on and show you a bit of explain. Okay, parking brake is on. Let's turn off the pitot heat and the nav, taxi, and we shall cut the engine. Turn off the avionics. There we go. Beautiful. Down to the off position. And we have arrived in Heathrow. So that was a little trip across London. I'll pan out here and just show you a little bit more of this. Heathrow detail as best as I can. You can see there's actually ground vehicles moving around. But you get a sense of just how big this place is. Heathrow is an amazing airport. It's Britain's main airport, and it's in the top 5 or 3 of the busiest airports in the world. It's incredible considering it's only got 2 runways. But they have a system where they land on one runway and take off on the other. But you can see the detail, look. When I get the commercial jets going, I'll be able to come here. Another thing I can show you about X-Plane, if you've not seen it before, is you can just advance time. So I could, for example, just bring the sun up and make it daytime. Just by moving things around like that. There you go. So we can make it almost morning, if you want to. There you go, sunrise. And that is such a cool feature, the way, you know, if you do this, you can see how the lighting changes as you go through the day, and it depends on the weather as well. Depends on the cloud that you've selected. You know, you can make it overcast, you can make it rainy, you can make it however you want. It's extremely versatile. But yeah, look at that scenery. Look at the detail there. Fantastic. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Until the next video, guys, take care. Happy flying.